With it seeming as though major changes could be coming to all WWE shows and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Ryan Tran, who has been a WWE referee since 2010, said this in an interview on the VQ podcast about what his future in the company looks like. My goal is to go possibly another 10 years. After that, I would like to still be with the company. I do enjoy the behind the scenes work. Sometimes I feel I don't have to be in front of the camera. If I can be the behind the scenes person, putting things together and making sure that the show goes on right. I like the video side, the audio side, the lighting, all that stuff that goes behind the scenes. I enjoy that stuff. I do enjoy working with my co-workers that way and learning those things. In the entertainment business, it's so much fun. There's so many things to learn. That's another thing my dad told me. When you're doing something and learning, you have to learn multiple trades. Never stop learning because you never know what they may need you for. That's also helped me out. I started refereeing. I learned that. I went to wrestling, but I wanted to better myself, so I went to a different school. I learned more, and now that I do this, I learned how to build a ring and tear down a ring, or how to fix this and that. He's always taught me to make yourself to where they can't just release you, fire you, or lose you. They know you're too important. That's one thing I've taken from him. Him being an immigrant, coming here with my mom, my two sisters, and myself with nothing. He made something of himself. He gave me a path, and now it's my job to create a path for my sons and daughters. I need to open a path for them like he did for me. Asked about making a sequel to the TNA Impact video game that came out in 2008, president of the company, Scott D'Amore, told RealWrestling.net, yeah, I mean, look, I think getting back out there into the action figure and video game space, obviously the video game space is huge in today's age. One of the things is, and you've seen AEW out there, they worked really hard and put a lot of time and effort and money into a game. We want to get back into that space when the time is right. I don't think putting out a bad video game or a marginal video game is the right move. I think it's a shame that there's never been a follow-up to the TNA video game, and it is one of the projects that we really want to work on in the future. So is it coming in 2024? No. It is something that's on our radar that we would love to do, absolutely. Business-wise, I think it would be great for us, and I know that our fans really want it too. I grew up one of the first generations to play video games, to play those wrestling video games. I would be scared to look at how many hours I spent playing those, so I think it's important, and it's a project we'll be working on as time progresses. On social media, a fan asked one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Piper Niven, this. I obviously get where the Piper name comes from, but what about the name Niven? If you don't want to answer, I'm not one of those people that demands answers from people. Niven replied, it's my dad's stepdad, but he raised me, so I consider him my real dad name. It's usually passed down through the family as a middle name, so I decided to take it on as my stage name to keep it going. It's a very old name that means little saint. Back in 2021, The Undertaker had said on Joe Rogan's podcast that he thought the pro wrestling business had gone soft. Now he said this about the changing protocols for safety in the ring, saying on his 6 Feet Under podcast, it's amazing now, all the protocols that are in place. We're treated today like NFL players, NBA players, Major League Baseball guys. There are a list of protocols that you have to clear once you get injured before you get back in the ring. Back in the day, we didn't have trainers that traveled with us. If somebody had a roll of white athletic tape, that was the trainer because he had something that you could possibly use. Nowadays, we have 2 or 3 trainers that travel, we have doctors that travel, concussion protocols. I have to be honest, for me, it was hard to accept that at first because it was, man, everything is getting soft now. I appreciated that badge of honor, as silly as that sounds. It was hard for me to accept that. Man, our business is getting soft. It wasn't getting soft. It was getting smarter. I'm glad that I was a part of the generation that led into that, because today you see the referee and they throw the X up, you know something bad has happened. You're not going to get a bunch of blood in the ring. If someone is concussed or injured to a point, the match is going to stop and the athletes are going to be treated the way they need to be. Even with all that going on, the wear and tear and the risk of injury is crazy. Announcing that he will be away from AEW, commentator for the company Jim Ross said on his Grilling JR podcast, "I'm going to take some time off starting this week. I'm not going to be in Oakland, but my doctor believes that if I take a few weeks off, I'm not sure how many, we'll see, it's got to heal, that being off an airplane for a few weeks will be good for my leg to heal. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a few weeks off. I'm not going to be on TV for a while until I can navigate the waters a little bit and get in that deep water. I love what I'm doing. We have a unique roster. There's so many guys that we need to help as much as possible get over, but that goes for any wrestling TV show. That's their objective. I have a contract that's in place. I tend to honor it. It's still got a few months left." And Tony Khan has indicated to me as early as this week, at least to my representative Barry Bloom, that he'd like for me to stay. I'm not looking to go anywhere. It's just that I need to heal. That's all. Simplistically is that. My leg needs to heal, and the good news is that the wound is getting much better, so I am healing. I just got to get better. It's not a matter of pain tolerance. The pain comes when I get to the city I'm flying to. Flying is the enemy right now, so if I can heal a little bit more, then flying becomes less of an issue. With this job, I can't do it without flying, so flying is a necessary evil, if you want to use that term. That's kind of how I'm approaching it, so I have no plans on leaving AEW. I like working for Tony. Tony's been good to me. He's taken great care of me. We just have a very unique relationship. I'm not high maintenance, even with a bad leg and stuff. I don't want to be high maintenance. On Busted Open Radio, former WWE star Mandy Rose spoke about being away from pro wrestling and potentially coming back. As she noted, "To be honest, I haven't really got the itch yet. I'm actually a little surprised. I thought that I would get it. As we just said, coming up on almost a year, but I really haven't. I do miss certain things, don't get me wrong. I miss the camaraderie. I miss my friends over there." Mentioning the cocaine angle that the NWA had at their recent pay-per-view event, former WCW president Eric Bischoff noted on his 83 Weeks podcast, "You know you're drawing attention to yourselves. You've got people dropping dead in the streets for snorting blow from fentanyl. I don't know, man. I don't know Billy Corgan. I had lunch with him and spent a little bit of time with him, but that was just flat out freaking stupid, especially since you're trying to emerge on YouTube and you're trying to get a television deal. You feel that strongly about a cocaine spot, which by the way didn't get anybody over anyway. What was the purpose of it? You're going to get Jim Mitchell over? Are you kidding me? That guy hasn't been over in the 20 years he's been in the business. How is this going to make a difference?" The more I think about it, the more pissed off I get, because it's the kind of thing that really damages the reputation of pro wrestling on television. With NXT set to move to the CW from the USA Network, this was said regarding changes for the show, as Dave Meltzer revealed on Wrestling Observer Radio. There's talk about taking them touring with the extra money. There's pluses and minuses for it. It would help to a degree, but the developmental aspect of the thing, if you're taking people out of town, it does give them less days in the gym. NXT could do arenas in Florida, but there's only so many before you burn out your audience, especially in that area. For a health status update on Ricochet, who appeared to suffer a blow to the head during his match on Raw this week, Dave Meltzer pointed out on Wrestling Observer Radio, "We don't know if it's a concussion. It's concussion protocol. I don't want to say it's a concussion because it was not. As far as I know, it was not diagnosed as a concussion, and he's fine." Giving his thoughts on WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hart, Gunther noted on WWE's The Bump, "I think it is obvious that in-ring he is one of the best to ever do it. Very enjoyable. He was very popular in Germany and Austria when I was growing up. He was a big superstar there. But as Ludwig said before, I don't forget. And what that man said in my match in Cardiff and was not mentioning nice things after that. So he is not going to get anything nice from me. Too bad he is not in the state anymore to settle this in the ring. It would have been very interesting." As Smackdown will be leaving Fox for the USA Network, Dave Meltzer pointed out changes set for the show on Wrestling Observer Radio. One of the things that they did get, which is also going to be interesting, is that Smackdown will be live on the West Coast for the first time, I think, ever. I don't think it's ever been live on the West Coast. So it's going to be airing from 5 to 7 on the West Coast. Whether it's Friday night or another night remains to be seen. While Smackdown is heading to the USA Network and NXT will be relocating to the CW, many are wondering what the future holds for Monday Night Raw, as Dave Meltzer said this regarding the situation on Wrestling Observer Radio. There's a good chance the USA Network is losing Raw. Most of the talk is that Raw is going to go to FX. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.